we gotta go ahead and get to our movie review. So this is my first question for you. How many of you have seen Lake Placid? And what are your general thoughts on the film? As I told you before, like my origin story when it comes to Lake Placid, Chad. Did not see this in theaters. Saw this at home. Rented it from the library, big old VHS tape, and I remember like it being fun, but not understanding all the humor, or understanding some of the humor, but realizing like, ooh, this is like really crass and bad and naughty. Because chat, like as an 11-year-old, it's like when someone says boobs or references like, ooh, the things that are below our tum-tums, oh, chat, that's when it gets raunchy. Oh, that's when poor little Chris, a whole world opened up to little Chris when he saw Lake Placid, chat. And this movie was chock full of it. Mr. Yazman, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Theater Man, seen it once. Jack said, ooh, naughty. Quite goddamn naughty. No doubt about it. Mr. Yazzie, downloading Aftermath right now. Nice. Darksley, seen this. Cool. Chris, there's legendary shit. So we have some people that seen it. We have people that do enjoy the film. Kind of give you an idea. Austin's never seen the film. We'll kind of give you like a brief background on the movie, chat. As people have been saying, like the 90s, well, were chock full. Like not even the 80s. I mean, everything really ever since like the 70s all the way up to like the late 90s. There were always a ton of giant animal creature feature films released in theaters. And they kind of waned after that, where they just started not to become much of a commercial success. You know, certainly not a critical success, but you know, they're always felt like all these films just felt derivative of Jaws. That's what all these films were capitalizing on. Probably the ultimate, you can say, giant animal movie being Jaws. And this was definitely one of the last ones before this subgenre just kind of went the way, literally extinction. Went to VOD, went to like Sci-Fi Channel. That's when Sci-Fi Channel began producing like a lot of, you know, giant monster movies and fucking Python versus Sharktopus and shit like that. That became their domain. But this is one of the last few films, Chet, and sadly, you know, it had like mixed to positive reviews from critics. So people did actually like the surprising cast in the film. I mean, you have, of course, Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, one of her last roles, actually. Oliver Platt, Brendan Gleeson, of course, Betty White, Chat, and can we all say, Chat, the MVP of the movie? She really probably has, like, at least 10 minutes of screen time, but she fucking nails all 10 minutes of that screen time, Chat. She is the principal character. When Betty White's on screen, she's like, get out of my way, motherfuckers, and she kind of says that, too. Ooh, because, Chat, she's got a salty mouth on her. That's why, I think that's why I have in my mind that this is, like, a dirty movie. Because I saw this with, like, my parents or my mother. I was watching, and, you know, in the background, she's doing whatever. And she's like, did Betty White just say fuck him? Like, yes, she did, mother. Yes, she did. Betty White, she swears more than any other character in this movie. And it's brilliant. See, exactly. Thank you to the 10 biddies. Betty White is MVP. I mean, she's MVP in most things that she appears in. But, wow. She makes her presence known. And she's the funniest thing about this film. Like, clearly, like, okay, we got Betty White. We got to make this work. And it does. Anytime she's on screen, you're having a blast. I wish the movie could have kept it up the entire time. But kind of back to, like, the specifics behind-the-scenes stuff. The movie had a budget of about $27 to $35 million. So, I mean, that's a moderate budget for, like, a big creature feature film at the time, chap. But, sadly, box office was not great. Made $56.9 million worldwide. So, sadly, it lost money. They did eventually, do like 4 or 5 sequels, but they all went to VOD or Sci-Fi Channel was making them, or whatever studio was making them, Chad. And I remember always seeing like Lake Placid 2 and like Lake Placid like 4, The New Beginning, and shit like that, like at the Blockbuster, chat. Like right when Blockbuster was closing down, like in the mid 2000s. I remember just seeing. Like, or yeah, I was like, no, like, no, it was the late 2000s, late 2010s. No, late 2000s. And I just see, like, those new releases, and they'd always have, like, one copy of Lake Placid 3 or something. And I was like, I never saw that film. I've only seen the original Lake Placid. I'm probably going to keep it that way as well. But yeah, the film, this was, again, one of the last of those big animal creature feature films before it just, you know, just went extinct, literally. But now, chat, we gotta get to the plot of the movie. And chat, we are in Maine, and it starts out kind of like a Steven Spielberg movie, which I guess is kind of appropriate since they're clearly taken from Jaws, because we're just cutting to this lake, chat, and the music, it's very whimsical. It's very whimsical. Like, it's like, oh, we're going to have a good time in the forests of Maine, which I wouldn't probably have a good time in the forests of Maine, Chad. That's typically the setting of Stephen King's novels. So typically, there's always going to be some weird, scary shit in Maine. And in this case, Chad, in this episode of the Maine Chronicles, it happens to be a giant saltwater crocodile. But we don't know that yet. But we're just getting this fucking whimsical score, looking at the beauty of this lake, Chad. They call it Lake Placid. Even that's not the official name, but they call it Lake Placid. The waters, they're just so calm. They're known for being the safest, most beautiful waters in Maine, chat. And they have the most lush forests and circle. But, chat, we are coming upon a boat, and we see our two characters. We see Brendan Gleeson, chat, who is doing a terrible American accent. Listen, I love Brendan Gleeson. I think he's a great actor. I think he's having some fun in this movie. But, wow, he struggles with that American accent. Like, I constantly hear his Irish accent coming out with every other word he says. Like, you know what? Could have just had him with the Irish accent. Just say, it's like, I don't know, he could have made a joke like, why are you Irish? What are you doing in Maine? But he's like, no, let's have him struggle throughout the entire movie with his natural-born accent. So, every other word of dialogue, you see a little bit of that creeps out in there. And he's helping this specific diver, chat. This diver, he's going to be tagging all the beavers in Lake Placid because that's a big issue. They don't want this natural log dam to be destroyed by these beavers because it would affect the entertainment industry and the fishing industry. It just wouldn't be good for them. Chris Ayres, thank you for the 10 biddies. The guy that did the music for this movie, scored and edited almost all of Bryan Singer's movies. He recently won the Oscar for editing Bohemian Rhapsody. Holy shit, editing Bohemian Rhapsody? Yeesh. Whoosh. He did a bad job with that. He did a better job with Lake Placid, I'll tell you that much. And the thing is, chat, this diver, I don't know his name. Is his name Benny? What's his name? I'm going to call him Benny, chat. I don't think he got a name. I'm going to call him, he looks like a Benny to me. And Benny and Brendan Gleeson, they don't get along. Like, Benny, he's very dismissive of Brendan Gleeson's Maine ways in the state of Maine, chat. Like, people, like, apparently think fucking Maine is, like, the backwoods, like, goddamn Deliverance, you know, ding, 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 kind of country. It's like, where's that come from? I mean, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's a setting of horror novels and shit, but I don't think of, like, you know, backwood hicks when I think of Maine. I just think of natural, beautiful forests, Stephen King, and cold. That's about it. I don't know where the whole Deliverance thing came in there, but whatever. And so this guy is super dismissive of Brendan Gleeson. And anytime Brendan Gleeson's kind of coming there with, like, you know, word of advice, the guy says, I don't give a shit what you have to say, Brendan Gleeson. I'm going in. So he's in this diving equipment shed. He jumps into Lake Placid. And he's going to tag these beavers to make sure that they can keep track of what they're doing, chat. So they're not destroying the natural dams and ruining the entertainment industry of Maine. And so he's swimming in the goddamn Lake Placid, chat, and he comes upon where he thinks is, I guess it's like a giant beaver enclosure. I don't know, it's like an underground beaver hive. It's a hive, right? Beavers make hives. I assume they make hives. Nests. I'm gonna stick with hive. I'm gonna take a beaver hive. And so he comes upon this thing, and he's looking in there, and he's like these little beaver sounds. I don't know what beavers sound like. Beaver sounds. And it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? And oh, something pops up, and it's a beaver. It's a big old beaver. It is not a real beaver, Chad. It's very much an animatronic, like, weirdly stiff beaver, and just shoots by him. He's like, oh, geez, I guess it's like fucking had, like, jets on its side or something. And he's like, oh, that was scary. And then, Chad, we cut back to, because, like, after that little scare, we need a little calming. We need a calming image. So let's just watch Brendan Gleeson eating a Twinkie. He's just sad because the guy was very mean to him, very dismissive, chat. And he just pulls out this, and we just see Brendan Gleeson just kind of stare in the middle distance, just eating a Twinkie, staring directly at the camera. It's very sad. And then after he finishes that Twinkie, chat, he just keeps staring. But then we cut down to Benny, chat, and he's like still, and he's like, what's going on here? He's like that little beaver sounds. But then, chat, we cut to the perspective of something. We don't know what it is. And it's getting close to the Benny. It sees them thick white thighs, chat, that luscious plump ass. Oh, it's going to take a bite of Benny. And Benny's like, what is that? Is that a... Oh! And he gets pulled. He gets pulled from the nest, chat, from the hive, the beaver hive. What happened to Benny? Meanwhile, we cut back to Brendan Gleeson, chat. and he pulls out another Twinkie. It's like, I get it, he's fat, okay? Stop bullying Brendan Gleeson, but he just starts eating this other Twinkie, just staring into the middle distance. Oh God, it's terrible. But then he noticed some bubbles coming up, like from a little ways from the boat. They got like a little motorized boat chat. And, you know, he's like, what's that? And the guy goes, fucking Benny, oh! He's like popping up. She's like, oh, help me, Jesus, help me. He's like, oh, shit. He's panicking, chat. Oh, we got a new follower. Jacob City Bros, thank you for the follow. You're my new Huckleberry. Hope you're enjoying your review. Hope you're enjoying Brendan Gleeson eating those 2 Twinkies, my man. It's going to be a 3rd one, I'll tell you what. Thank you, Snake 100 Biddies. It's a Beavers dam, yes. Get it? Yeah. So, and so fucking Benny, he's flailing, chat, and, you know, Brendan Fraser's like, oh, shit. Brendan Gleeson. He's like, I don't know what to do. But then it's okay. He's like, he's going to start the boat up to go over to the Benny, but it's okay. Benny's coming to him because whatever this thing that has him, it's pulling him right towards the boat, chap. Pulling him right towards it. And he hits the side of the boat. And he's like, help me. He's like, oh, Brendan Gleeson's like, oh, shit. He's like trying to get him to cut underneath the water. And it's a crocodile. It's got Benny's lower half in his jaws. Like, that's not good. And then Benny's like, he's bleeding from the mouth. Oh, God. And like, Brendan Gleeson, I'm going to save you. I'm going to get you, Benny. And he uses all that Irish strength, chat, and he pulls Benny on board, or at least most of him. He pulls about a half of him, chat, because his legs, his torso, his genitalia, chat, is gone. It has been ripped clean from Benny, from the torso part of Benny. And Brendan Gleeson's like, shit, just vomits all the Twinkies up, Chad. Very green, very green. When you eat earlier, Brendan Gleeson. But Benny, he just fucking grabs Brendan Gleeson's hand and just stares in his eyes, Chad, and he dies. And Brendan Gleeson goes, fuck, that was intense. And then we cut, Chad. We are now somewhere in Chicago? I'm going to say Chicago. No, we are in New York City, chat, the American Museum of Natural History, and we're introduced to a paleontologist played by Bridget Fonda, chat, one of her last roles that she did before she retired from acting. She did a couple films in the 2000s, but this is one of her last big ones. And she's not having a great day, chat. She is hyperventilating because, of course, even though as one of the premier and most respected women in all of paleontology, chat, she's having a panic attack because her boyfriend broke up with her. No! And so she's got the vapors, chat, because her boyfriend broke up with her, who also happens to be her boss. So great combination. And her boss, apparently the breakup just happened now. And the boss is like, hey, I got a great idea. I'm going to go get the woman who I cheated on you with to calm you down. And it's like, what? And so he gets this woman, and to be honest, chat, this woman, she looked beautiful. She's very beautiful. There's no doubt about that. And she comes in there, and she's trying to calm down Bridget Fonda. I keep wanting to say Katharine Hepburn, chat, because her character name is Kate. I'm going to call her Bridget Fonda. She's trying to calm down Miss Fonda, chat. She's like, you know what? It's okay, you know, you just breathe, take deep breaths. He's like, why did he send you in here? This is not helping me at all. She goes, I honestly don't know why. Thinking about it now, this is probably a really shitty thing to do. It was not great. It was not a great thing to do. But then, chat, we cut to, I guess after that little episode, it was like the writers realized, you know what, this is kind of a shitty thing to do to this character already. But then we see that Bridget's boyfriend, he walks in there and he says, hey, we just got like a call from Maine, and there was like an attack, and they're asking for like experts in like dinosaurs and shit. Could you go up there to see if they got like a dinosaur? So I'm just like, what the hell are you, dinosaurs? What are you talking about? It's like they think they may have a crocodile or something. It's like, well, call a crocodile. Call goddamn Steve Irwin. Why are you calling me? They asked for you. What did I say? She's like, you know, that's not what it is. And this is pretty shitty of her ex-boyfriend / current boss. Because what he's doing, chap, and she figures this out, you're just trying to get me out of the office so you can fuck that broad all the time. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's like, Jesus. It is not Bridget's day, chat. She's not having a good day. And she says, there is no way that I'm going at all. And then, chat, we cut. She's in the middle of this fucking biplane, and they are sending her off to Maine, chat. They have no other airports there. You could just get there by biplane, apparently. Chat, tell me, for those of you who live in Maine, Mainites, I believe that's what you call it. That's the only way you can get there. Or you gotta do some fucking Stephen King incantation to teleport in the vicinity of Maine. But also biplane works too. And so they get her there, chat, and she lands, and we're introduced to a whole cast of characters. We also have Bill Pullman, chat. Bill Pullman, he is in charge of the wildlife rescue or something. He's like the wildlife guy. I don't know what, but it's like an official organization. Bill Pullman's like the president. So Bill Pullman's there, and he's organizing this joint effort, this joint task force with Brendan Gleeson to take down this crocodile. And they do need an expert, and there's a lot of tension between everybody here, chat. They don't all like each other. They're all very sarcastic. You know, like Bridget, she's constantly, you know, roughing like, oh, you guys are just some dumb hicks, and I'm like superior to you. And they're just saying, well, you're a woman, so there. It's like, okay. Movie's a little dated, chat. What did I tell you it was a little dated? You're a woman, and you have lady parts. Therefore, you cannot hunt crocodiles with us. Harumph! But they really don't do her right, chat, because most of the movie, she's always complaining. She's constantly afraid of the outdoors. She has bug spray, and she sprays all over herself and other people and things. Like, that's like, okay, these characters, like, I could see where the filmmakers were trying to do here. They wanted to create these really over-exaggerated personalities. And thankfully, like, the actors they have, they're good. Like, these are good actors, and they really try their best to sell this dialogue. And sometimes they do, and just sometimes they don't. You know? Like, there's a whole scene where, again, it's so dated, where there's this very young college co-ed who walks up, and she goes, did that guy get eaten by that crocodile? And then Brendan Gleeson goes, like, don't worry, honey. The beaches are still open. And it's like, this is fucking creepy. And he just looks her up and down, and then she's like, oh, it's great. And she walks away, and Bill Pullman and Brendan Gleeson just stare at her ass the entire, like, not subtle about it. It's like, I'm just like, and fucking Brendan Fonda's like, gross. I mean, she calls it out, but I'm like, come on. It's, yeah, it's just a mixed bag. I could see what they're going with, but again, it just can't escape that it was made in a different time. And you can either go with it or you don't go with it. And I totally understand if people just don't. You know, I totally get that. And I'm like, okay, there's some stuff you just like, yeah, you can't ignore it. Other things, you just gotta have fun with it. But chat, they're going out there because they gotta interview some people. Oh, before they gotta do that, they gotta show, what's her name, the body. They gotta show the tooth they extracted from good old Benny, Chad. Good old Benny's best half. So they take her to the coroner's office. She's like, oh, it's a dead body. She just want to, like, see the dead body, Chad. But, like, I'll examine the tooth. And she goes, this is like a fucking giant crocodile tooth. Like, I've never seen, like, part of a tooth. I've never seen one this big. And this is, like, very recent, okay? This isn't ancient, all right? This isn't, like, you know, primeval or anything like that. No, this is very recent. And she's like, I need to see the body. And they're like, okay. And they show her good old Benny, Chad. She goes, what the fuck did this? And that's what we're trying to find out. We got to find out, Chad. What killed good old Benny? And so then, chat, they're like, okay, well, before we conduct, like, a big investigation, let's go ahead and talk to the people who actually reside in the lake and ask if they've seen anything. And they're like, well, the only person that lives out there outside of, you know, the occasional college co-ed, Brother Gleason's like, oh, don't I know it. They're like, Betty White lives out there. Betty White with her husband. And they're like, let's go see Betty White and her husband, chat. And this is where the humor in the movie works in spades, chat. It is spectacular because they go out there and she's just, I mean, she's very sassy, a little sassy grandma. And she's out there and she's like, she's giving them the cookies and lemonade and milk and they're having a good time. And like, Miss Betty White, we just want to answer, ask you and your husband a few questions. She goes, oh, my husband's dead. And I'm like, what? You didn't, like, report that to, like, the morgue or the police office or anything? She goes, nah, fuck him. Like, I like my privacy, God. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And, like, Miss White, you need to report this. She's like, I mean, wasn't bothering anybody. We live out here alone. You never call. This is the first time you've been here and you're asking me questions. I'm giving you goddamn milk and cookies and lemonade, and you give me the third goddamn degree. What is this? You fucking Irish prick. And it's like, whoa, Betty, settle down. And like, okay, well, okay, well, we got one question for you. Well, what happened to your husband? And not without a single pause, chat. She goes, I killed him. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I killed him. How did you kill him? What happened? He's like, well, you know, he had his good days and his bad days. And, you know, he was a great husband, loved him, salt of the goddamn earth. But, you know, his health started to fail. His mind started to go. And during one of his good days, he just told me, end my suffering. Just, you know, take me out back and right behind the head. And she says, I did it. I killed him and I buried him right out there near the wood chipper. You can fucking go ahead and unearth him right now. I'm like, this is crazy. This is fucking nuts. And then you're like, well, she's Betty White, so we can't arrest her. She's just too goddamn cute and charming. So we're gonna leave you alone for now, Betty White. And she goes, yes, you will. Until next time. And I'm like, okay. So let's go ahead and go out there and see what we can find. And then chat, they're doing their whole research and everything. And they're establishing their tents. Like, we gotta figure out what the hell this animal is, chat. That's what they gotta do. And they come upon, I believe, this is the point in the movie where yes. So they're doing some things and they're like laying some stuff out. Oh, but they find something. They find something in the brush, chat. They find a giant waterlogged toe. And it's like, it's gross and icky. And it's like, okay, well, clearly something ate this guy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I got reversed because a particular character finds that toe, chat, and explains what happened to that toe. So, chat, they go out to their little encampment right now, and they see a helicopter coming in. And they're like, who the hell is that? We didn't call anybody else in here, but fucking Bridget Fonda's like, I know who that is. That's Oliver Platt, chat. And he apparently is a crocodile alligator aficionado. He loves them crocs. He loves them gators. And he's landing in there, chat. And he is what you might call eccentric. You could also describe him as batshit fucking crazy and just a sex fiend. Because everything to him is like, I'm all about the crocs and the pussy. That's all he cares about in this movie, chat. There's nothing in between. It's the crocs and the vagine. That's all. He just likes the vagine a lot. And so he lands, chat. And already he is just calling the shots. He's like, hello, everyone. I'm Oliver Platt. I'm going to see if there's actually indeed a crocodile in here. And already, Brendan Gleeson doesn't like his authority question at this moment, Chad. Bill Pullman's like, I'm kind of just going to step back because there are so many big personalities in this movie. I'm just going to kind of fade to the background now for the rest of the film until you need a handsome lead to say something fairly witty or to hit on Bridget Fonda in a less rapey way than Oliver Platt or Brendan Gleeson. That's Bill Pullman's role in this movie. I'm the less rapey option among the three men in this movie. So, already, Brendan Gleeson, Oliver Platt, they're just fucking button heads the entire time. Eventually, they're doing some stuff, and Oliver Platt, he comes upon a severed, waterlogged toe, chat, and he's, like, waving in people's face. Everyone's getting, ew, it's so gross. But he says, oh, this clearly has been, like, in a fucking thing's stomach. You know, could be crocodile, could be something fucked up. There you go. That's some more evidence. But Brendan Gleeson's like, I don't believe there's a giant saltwater crocodile in my lake. I don't believe that at all. And then you're like, all right, let's just go out on the lake. So they go out the lake, like, next day or something. And they're just fucking rowing, chat. And then we just get some, like, really weird dialogue between all the... like, Oliver Platt, like, he goes from, like, either being funny or just really stupid. And it's like I'm getting fucking whiplash every time he does that. Because he says something clever, usually to Brendan Gleeson. But then, and I might... The thing is, shit, there might be some improv going on in here. And maybe it's not just the writing. It could be just the actors, like, we're just gonna maybe just put the camera down. Or put the camera in a fucking floaty. And we're just gonna let the actors riff on each other. And then we'll kind of cobble that together. So maybe it feels like that. Because an Oliver Platt just all of a sudden just says, you're fat. Like to Brendan Gleeson. It's like, you're pretty fucking fat too, Oliver Platt. It's like, that was weird. Like, there's no context behind it. It's just like middle schoolers saying things to each other, chat. And, like, not coming up with, like, a sense of a dialogue. You know, nothing's witty. And it's like, God damn it. Because you can tell, like, the actors have such great energy they bring in these scenes, but what they're saying is not great. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of disappointing. And then at one point, Oliver Platt, because he's talking to Bridget, and he says, "Oh yeah, we had sex once." Everyone's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Bridget's like, "What are you talking about, Oliver Platt?" I don't know if it's like he has. The film goes on. He has like really bad self-esteem, and he has like a death wish too. He's kind of like near suicidal. So that might be like he comes from like a very abusive home, very rich parents and things. So that might play into the role why he's just so fucking weird. Or as Brendan Gleeson says, fucking mental, which he says with his totally Irish accent on full display. You know, like no one says mental in Maine, okay? They say that in goddamn Ireland and the UK, but whatever. And while they're arguing, chat, the one of the fucking canoes just flips into the goddamn air because there's a saltwater crocodile in there. It flips over. Brendan Gleeson, Bridget Fonda, they flip over. It's like, oh God, what's happening? But we don't see the croc yet. We don't see it yet. So they get themselves back on the coon. They go up to the beach, and they're like, all right, that was fucking serious. And like Bill Pullman's like, I'm gonna call the goddamn National Guard to bring them in, but the National Guard needs proof, chat, and they need proof of the saltwater crocodile. I was like, we can't do anything about it. And they're like, okay, well, we got to give him proof. We got to go out into the water. That's what they're going to do, chat. And so next day, oh, also there's another scene where, again, showcasing how everyone kind of like hates each other. There's a party scene when Oliver Platt's like, I'm going to like just start a harem of all the police officers, male, female, it doesn't matter to Oliver Platt. And he just gets them all fucking drunk and wasted and drugged up, chat. He's hitting on this one, again, very, very pretty female police officer, chat. And the thing is, like, his pickup line, and this is like, all right, she's like, okay, panties dropped. Because he says, you know what? I like your gun, and I like your boobs. And it's like, really? that's it. And she's like, oh, this is fucking do it here, Oliver Platt. Really? Okay. And Brendan Gleeson's like, that's enough of that shenanigans. It's already bad. They're at a bad place, chat. And then later that night, Brendan Gleeson, he wakes up, he goes to take a nice long piss. It's a steamy piss too, because you see that steam rising, just encircling his head, chat. But he hears something out in the forest, and he goes out there and he just finds Oliver Platt doing it. He says, "What are you doing?" Oliver Platt's like, "Ah!" They scream, and he's like, "I'm laying traps down." Because typically crocodiles, they'll come up on land and we can get them that way. It can fall into a pit or something. It'll be easy to capture. Brendan Gleeson's like, I don't like that. And then he walks away, Chad, and he fucking falls into a pit. It's a good gag. And then Chad would go to the next day. And like, okay, we got to actually find this crocodile. So they're in the boats now. And they're going out there. We have all the characters. We have Oliver Platt. We got Brendan Gleeson. We have Bill Pullman. And we got Kate. We got, Bridget Fonda. Kate, plays Kate in the movie. I'm going to call her Bridget Fonda, though, chat. And we also have a red shirt. We also have one poor red shirt who has no dialogue. And they're like, we're going to put Bill Pullman in the Oliver Platt in the water, and they're going to use to possibly attract the giant saltwater crocodile. We're going to put in, like, this audio thing that like sounds like baby crocodiles. And so it'll be attractive. He's like, oh, babies, I want to put them in my mouth and keep them safe. That's what crocodiles do. And that's how it's going to attract them. And so Oliver Platt and Bill Pullman, they're swimming in the water. But Bill Pullman, he actually sees the tail of the crocodile chase. He sees it disappear in the mist. He's like, that looked scary. And then he goes after it, Chad, because that's what you do. When you see a crocodile tail, you would clearly just go right in the direction of the crocodile. Meanwhile, we cut up. And the fucking crocodile says, like, well, I want that fucking anchor that I see in the boat. And it grabs a hold. You don't see it, but this is what happens. Grabs the boat. Fucking Bridget Fonda, she's thrusted from the boat, Chad. And everyone's, oh! Brendan Gleeson in the red shirt. They're dragged all the way to, like, the other side of the lake. And Bridget Fonda's like, oh, please, come save me. And like, we'll get you. And like, they cut the anchor loose, Chad, and they go right over to Bridget Fonda. And she's like, she's kicking. And like, it causing too much noise, too much goddamn vibration. The croc's going to get you. But they get her up, Chet. They get her up. And then, something pops up. It's Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman comes up out of the water, Chet. And they get Bill Pullman. And they pull him up. And it's like, whoo! And then Oliver Platt comes up. And they get him. And they say, hey, red shirt, go get the little crocodile baby sound effect. And he goes, will do, sir! And he goes in the water. He pulls this thing up. And fucking crocodile bites his head off. And they're like, ah! They all scream. and he's like, his goddamn corpse is still like, bah, bah. His like head is splurting gore, and everything that he ate that morning, Chad, just mixed with the gore and blood. Oh, it's terrible. And they all go back to the beach. Everyone's fucking traumatized, as you would expect. Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson getting a little of a battle chat, a little bit of a spat, if you will. A lot of bad things happen here. But eventually, you know, something happens where I think Brendan Gleeson, I think he chases after Oliver Platt for some reason. Oh, yeah, because he got caught in one of his traps. That's what happens, because obviously they're taking the deputy's body away because he's dead, obviously. And Oliver Platt tries to sympathize with Brendan Gleeson. He's like, hey, I'm sorry. You know, but he makes it awkward again. Like, he's like, you were doing good at first, but it just fucking floundered. Eventually, Brendan Gleeson gets stuck in one of the traps. Gets his foot caught, throws up in the air. It's like one of those little loop-de-loop traps. And so he's lowered, but then he chases after Oliver Platt. And Bill Pullman finally like, don't hurt him, don't hurt him. And he doesn't hurt him. I mean, he almost hurts him, chat. But then all of a sudden, a bear attacks. A bear attacks Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson and everyone else who's there. And they're like, whoa! And they got out of the way of the bear, chat. And the bear's just about to disembowel Oliver Platt, chat. But then the fucking crocodile comes out of the water and just starts eating the bear. And it drags the bear off. We're like, that's a saltwater crocodile. That's what that is. It's like, wow, what a surprise. Show, good to see you. Oh, man, tried that pickup line. Now, do it, Show, do it. See what happens. But then the next day, like, okay, shit, this is a saltwater crocodile. And they're talking to each other because they're traumatized over what happened, chat. And then fucking Bill Pullman notices, look what Betty White's doing right now. And they see Betty White across the lake, chat, and she's leading a cow all the way to the edge of the water. It's blindfolded. And the fucking crocodile is like, feed me, Betty. It's like, what? Kryptonian Wildflower, thank you so much. The subscription, 4 months in a row, my friend. Let me raise my glass to you. Thank you for joining me. Long time no see. It has been a hot minute, my friend. Hope you're doing well tonight. Oh, man. Excuse me, chap. Oh, but, so they see Betty White. She feeds her cow, one of her cows, to the crocodile. I'm like, we gotta go talk to Betty White again. And I'm like, Betty White, why you been feeding fucking your farm animals to crocodiles? She goes, I don't know. That's what we do. It's what me and my husband did. And you're like, your husband did this too? Well, you know what happened about 6 years ago? He was out fishing, and the big old crocodile was just following him back. And ever since then, we kind of could treat it like a pet, you know, feeding it scraps and things until it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually we got to feed it like farm animals. I mean, we're fucking filthy rich, as you obviously know. I can afford a cow every other week. And we just let him, you know, feed him. And they're like, okay, so what happened to your husband? Did he get eaten? And she goes, the best line in the movie, chat. She says to Brendan Gleeson, now, if I had a dick, I'd tell you to suck it right now. I'm like, whoa, Betty White, no shit's given. And he's like, okay, that was a good one. That was clever. That was clever. And they're like, okay, you should have told us about this shit. People are being eaten. She's like, fuck them. Who cares? Who cares about Benny? Who cares about Red Shirt who had no lines? These college co-eds whose asses you're looking at every goddamn day, Brendan Gleeson. She's like, oh, geez, don't. Like, I know what you're about. I'm like, Betty White, we're placing you under house arrest. And she's like, this is fucking bullshit. I do not stand for this. She doesn't like it, chat. And then eventually, we cut to, so Oliver Platt, he's like, okay, well, they're organizing something. And Oliver Platt goes, fuck it, I'm going to go out there again and try to find where this crocodile is. But he has a nest or something. He takes the very attractive policewoman with him, chat. She's got the hots for Oliver Platt, and he's going to go in there. But she's panicked. She doesn't want to go there, chat. You know, because obviously not. Why would you do? Because there's a giant saltwater crocodile, 30 feet plus long, chat. Everyone's like, how did it even get here? And like, somehow made it from all the way from Asia to the American Northeast. It's very strange. But they're like, this is fucking natural phenomenon. We're not going to kill. We're going to try to capture. It's like, okay. And Albert Platt's like, I got to go investigate. And so he lands. He got like this little helicopter that lands on water and shit, chat. He's like, I'm going to go in there. And she's like, Albert Platt, don't do it. Listen, if you don't go, I'll have sex with you. And he's like, I love you, baby. And he just fucking goes in the water. It's like, wow. So he goes in there, chat. And he's like, he can't find this fucking thing. You know, he's like, I can't see anywhere. He's like, and he comes back up again. He's like, hey, can we still have sex because I didn't find anything? And then she goes, and he's like, oh, shit. He turns around, chat, and this giant 30-foot saltwater crocodile is staring him down, not 3 feet from those big, chubby Oliver Platt cheeks. And he's like, that's not good. And he just slowly slowly drifts towards the helicopter again. He's like, start the fucking copter! Start it! She's like, I'm trying! How do I start? She doesn't know how to start it. And he's like, pull the levers and press the buttons, beep, bop, boop. Eventually, she does get it going, chat. And this is kind of, I like this, kind of clever. Because then he pulls up, he has an emergency raft, chat, and he activates it underwater and goes, pooh! And the Croc's like, oh, yes! And he goes for that, chat, and Oliver Platt manages to escape. He gets in the control, he's like, all right, we're getting out of here. But the Croc's like, this isn't Oliver Platt! And he goes for that helicopter, chat, and he's munching down that thing, he's trying to bring underneath the water, but it's like, ah, everyone's panicking. But he does manage to get away, and he lands the copter. And then he gets there, and fucking Bill Pullman, he's incensed. He's like, I'm the sensible one here, and Oliver Platt, you will not do that bullshit again, okay? I will not stand for it. And, you know, he insults Oliver Platt, calls him like a psychopath and stuff, because he absolutely is. And then Oliver Platt, he goes, storms off. And then Bridget Fonda goes to talk to, you hurt his feelings. Bill Pullman's like, I don't give a shit. Brendan Gleeson, you give a shit? He's like, nope, don't give a shit. Betty White, you don't give a shit? I don't like any of you fucks. And he's like, okay, okay. And so then we go talk to we see Bridget Fonda and Oliver Platt having a heart-to-heart. And she's like, what are you doing? And he basically says, listen, I have been judged and abused by people throughout my entire life, my parents, my sexual escorts and things. Like, the crocodiles, the alligators, the dragons, as he calls them, chat, they never judge me. You know, they never judge me. And I always have, there's always honesty coming from them with their judgment, no matter what, because it is simple. You know, there's no manipulation there. It's just, they are judge, jury, and executioner. That's what they are. And I didn't get it. It's like, that thing almost ate you. He's like, yeah, do you want to die? And he's kind of like, nah, I didn't want to die. It's like, what is this? It's kind of interesting thing you've established here, but they just ignore it. Because now they're just adamant. It's like, okay, we just have to capture this goddamn thing. That's what we have to do next. Like, Bill Pullman, Brendan Gleeson, they're against it. Like, no, Brendan Gleeson, I want to use my giant shotgun, like, grenade launcher. And they're like, no, Brendan Gleeson, you can't do this. He's like, So he's upset. Bill Pullman's like, I don't like it. I'm going to call in the National Guard. We have proof of this fucking thing now. He calls them in, but they're like, they're going to be 24 hours. In 24 hours, they'll be here. And Oliver Platt's like, that's all the time I need to capture this thing. And they're like, fine, 24 hours. What do you want to do? And he's like, we need some bait. Betty White, and they go to Betty White's farm, chat. Chris Ayers, look at the 10 biddies. I'm starting to think that Oliver Platt in this movie was the inspiration for Chris Pratt's character in Jurassic World. I could see that. Definitely. You know what? Oliver Platt would have been great in Jurassic World. He would have had a lot of fun. I wish he had replaced Chris Pratt. Except not be as sex crazed. You know, tone that down a little bit, chat. And so they're like, okay, Betty White, since you're feeding your fucking cows this crocodile, you don't mind if we borrow one? She's like, you motherfuckers! And but they're not going to kill the cow, chat. They're just going to use this bait. They're going to hook it up in a helicopter, and they're going to dunk it in the water. Like, like over and over again until it attracts the crocodile. And they're going to pump the croc full of tranquilizer darts. And this is great, because they cut back to Betty White every once in a while. And she says, you know, I'm cheering for the fucking crocodile. Like, I hope that's not illegal, and I hope you and all your friends get eaten. And she's, like, serving all these police officers, like, fucking milk and cookies and lemonade, and they're like, yeah, we're just happy we're not going against the croc right now. And she's like, oh, I'm sure you are, motherfucker. And then, it's like the 24 hours have passed yet. They keep dunking this poor cow. But eventually, the croc does show up. They're like, there's the crocodile. And it's like, okay, just lead it towards the bank so we can pump it full of tranquilizer darts. And he's like, okay. Oliver Platt's the one who's flying the copter. And he gets it over there, chat, but he's like, he loses control because the fucking crocodile's like, wait a fucking minute. I remember you. And he goes to the helicopter, chat. Oliver Platt's like, no. And he goes out of the way. Cow fucking breaks free. Cow survives, chat. The cow survives. It waddles up to the fucking bank. He's like, fuck you. I'm going home. And hopefully Betty White won't feed me to him in the next movie or something. And so Oliver Platt, he crashes the copter into the lake. And they're like, are you okay, Oliver Platt? He's like, I'm okay. But the fucking crocodile comes up, chasing him. And he's like, oh. But he falls in the water, but he gets back up on the copter. He's okay. And they're like, where is it? Brendan Gleeson, he has now, like, him and throughout the film, chat, Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson, they do bond to a certain degree. And Brendan Gleeson takes the initiative to wade out into the water with his goddamn, like, shotgun grenade launcher. He's like, you let me know if you spot it. Let me know. And Oliver Platt's, I think it's gone. And then it eats Brendan Gleeson. No, it doesn't. It almost eats Brendan Gleeson's, chat. It almost gets him. But Brendan Gleeson is just too sneaky. He's too fast. But it tries to get him. It's going, and everyone's like riding their fucking pickup trucks, and they just start fucking shooting this thing with anything they have at this point. Putting bullets, trank darts, doesn't matter, chat. They do get like a couple trank darts into it because they gotta hit its underbelly, chat, because its back and hide is too thick for the needles to penetrate. And fucking Bridget Fonda, she falls off the one of the trucks, chat, typical. And she's like, where do I go? Because she's blocked off. And Oliver Platt's like, swim to me. Just swim to me. She's still okay. She just Croc's like, easy fucking target. And it goes for good old Bridget Fonda, chat. It's swimming towards her, but it's too fast. Oliver Platt's like, dive, woman, dive. She dives in the water, chat. She's hiding behind like this tree that has fallen down in the water. Gets her foot caught, though. And she's like, oh, I can't get out. And the Croc goes, bah. And the Croc's like, that's a cool shot. Because the Croc turns his head in his jaws, and she's technically in between the jaws, but the wooden tree is just so thick and wide. It's so thick, like 2 C's. It can't get her. Eventually, she gets out. She swims back up to Oliver Platt. They get up there like, whoo! Well, now that we're done with it, and the Croc fucking bursts through the helicopter, chat. Bursts through it, and it wedges itself in there. And Oliver Platt and Bridget Fonda, they swim to the bank. And the Croc's still just going for him, still just trying to munch on him, chat. And, they're like, oh, Oliver Platt's like, look, it's stuck. But Bill Pullman's like, fuck that. No, I'm putting this thing down. That's what I'm going to do. It's like, no, Bill Pullman, don't. And he takes his rifle, chat, and the Croc's like, please don't kill me. I'm just hungry. And he fires into it, chat, but it was another trank dart. He wanted to make sure the crocodile was definitely put to sleep. Double tap. Smart Bill Pullman. So the Croc is asleep, chat. They have won. The humans have won. And Oliver Platt's like, wow, guys, seriously, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. And then a fucking Croc eats him. Bursts out of the goddamn water. Doesn't eat him, chat. I pulled another one on you. But it does get his fucking leg, though, and it starts dragging him. It starts dragging him out into the water. It's like a secondary crocodile. And it does let go. It does let go. And he's like, his leg's a little fucked up. He's like, it bit me. It bit me. He's panicking, chat. And it's going for Bridget Fonda, Bill Pullman, Oliver Platt, but fucking Brendan Gleeson, the character everyone made fun of because he's a little chubby. He takes out his shotgun grenade launcher, boom, fires it right into the crocodile's mouth, chat, explodes. And it's like, still got one crocodile, so there you go. And I got to use this gun, yay! And so everyone's happy. Oliver Platt, he's going to the main hospital, chat, the one that they got. Brendan Gleeson goes with him because that's his new best friend. Bill Pullman and Bridget Fonda, they go to get some drinks and then to make sweet, hot love, chat. And then we had 2 little end credit scenes, chat. 2 little end credit scenes. The first one is much better, though. And it's like, it's next day, and Betty White, she's waking up to a new morning, chat. She puts on her little slippers, gets her coffee, a little tea, gets out some bread. She's like, what's Betty White gonna do? And she goes out, chat, to her dock, and she sits herself down, puts her feet in the water and everything, and she just starts throwing up. Is she feeding ducks? What's she doing? It's like, it's not ducks. It's baby crocodile. She's like, oh, you're here. Yes, nibble on mommy's toe. She's like at least 5 or 6 of them, chat. I think this is how many sequels they made. And they start nibbling. And then we get like another end credit stinger where we actually see the crocodile on the back of a semi, on a bed of a truck, like a huge giant semi bed. And they're just taking it to whatever location they're going to be studying in, chat. And that is Lake Placid, the giant animal film. Listen, there are elements of this movie that are really, really fun. You know, like you have some actually talented actors, and they do have good moments with each other, but so much of the dialogue just falls flat, and it's frustrating. If you just had someone in there who treated Betty White's character with as much respect as you did with some of these other characters, like I would, oh man, like I think it'd be like a solid matinee, like a really solid matinee, but oh, I think I would have to give it like a high rental at this point, on the DT scale. I believe I'd have to give it a high rental. It's right, yeah, Redneck Jaws. You know what? That's a very apt description, Chris. There, it's a very quick description. It's the Redneck Jaws. Like, there's some fun stuff in it, but it's really dated. And I just wish had they just improved the dialogue, maybe double down more of the comedy aspects, or no, they may have it there, but just made it actually funny. It would have worked out. But still, you know, it's if you want to check it out, you won't be mad for renting it. I paid $3 for it on Amazon Prime. That's the way you should see it. So there you go, chat. That is Lake Placid. Hope you enjoyed the review.